Doctor Who magazine, and me. Hello, and welcome to another video. Now, this week I want to talk to you about Doctor Who magazine and my experience with it, how long I got it for, when I started, when I stopped, etc., 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 etc. Now, I think I've covered some of this before in a one that was about general magazines in general, but that was also a long time ago, and I'm running out of ideas. So we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it again. Now, as many people who follow this channel regularly will know, I became a fan at Christmas 1986, basically. Now, to be honest, even though I spent like the next X many months raiding my local library, I don't think I was aware that there even was a Doctor Who magazine. I know it started in 1979, but I don't think I ever saw it on the shelf, or if I did earlier on, before I was a fan, it simply didn't register with me. I learned of Doctor Who magazine's existence basically in October 1987. Ironically enough, we were on holiday. We went on holiday to the Isle of Man. This was during the screening of Paradise Towers, and I think it was the last episode. Fortunately, my video timer back home actually did work, so for that I would have been mightily pissed if it hadn't. It was not the best of holidays because we basically went in the off season and everything was off. The whole island was practically shut, and it was pissing it down all bloody week as well. And I remember going into a newsagent. My dad were going to get a crossword book or something like that, and I was just looking for something, probably looking for like a film magazine or something like that. And I saw Doctor Who magazine, and it was the one with Tamsin Rani on the cover, basically, with the painted. The painted cover of Sylvester and the two Ranis. It's good night from them. Oh dear. And I was like, oh my god, there's a Doctor Who magazine. And then, much to my shock, sitting kind of behind it or a few centimetres away was the Doctor Who Autumn Special, which I seem to remember was about the TARDIS. I still have them both. I still have both of those. So needless to say, I got both of them, and I spent at least the next day or two happily reading and rereading and rereading them. Now after that, once I became aware of the existence of Doctor Who magazine, and we went back, I basically got my mum to put a permanent order on at my local newsagents, and I got Doctor Who magazines from there right up until July 1991, when I emigrated from the UK to Australia. However, I didn't stop getting Doctor Who magazine. From that point on, I was subscribing. I got a subscription, and I kept renewing it until basically 1998. Now, of course, as a new fan in the late 80s, I loved Doctor Who magazine. I loved it in the early 90s when it went off, And after a couple of years, even though they kept, tantalizing us with, ooh, these people have put in a bid. Ooh, there might be some news soon. Throughout the whole saga that led up to the TV movie. But the magazine did become kind of interesting in the 90s. It became very much more kind of focused on the fandom and our little subculture and our little in-jokes and all the rest of it. And to be fair, it was a lot of fun in the 90s, up to a certain point. Certainly, I think after the TV movie, because I wasn't much of a fan of the TV movie anyway. I was very disappointed by it, and the fact that it led to nothing, and the attitude after that was basically, no, it's dead. It had its chance for a comeback, and that's it. It's stuffed. That kind of soured me. By the time you got to midish 98, I felt that the magazine itself was getting very thin. each issue seemed to be thinner than the last, and it was getting kind of dull as well. The kind of the irreverent attitude it adopted at some point in the 90s seemed to be dissipating as well, and it was just getting very dry and very dull and very thin. And like I said, coupled with the just the failure of the TV movie and the general attitude that now that's it, it is dead. I just kind of thought, why am I still paying for this? Basically, the last issue that I got as a regular subscriber at that point was the one with Colin on the cover. I think it was covering the Twin Dilemma. It was in '98, and that was kind of it. Because I mean, yeah, you have to think at this point, late '90s as well. I kind of stopped going to the local fan club as well, because I say local, it was a massive pain in the arse to get there. And yeah, I was drifting somewhat, and you had stuff on TV like X-Files and Buffy and DS9 that I was massively into. Doctor Who began to feel like a bit of a relic, and it was like, I really don't, I don't need this anymore. It's going nowhere. I think around the same time I kind of stopped with the books as well, because I'd followed the New Adventures faithfully. I didn't really get into the BBC books, the odd one here and there, but it was very much going off the boil in my house. Now, what I do remember is it was a few years later. It may have been 2001, 2002, possibly 2001. I kind of started getting back into it a little, because at that point, 2001, I hadn't even watched a Doctor Who for a couple of years probably. Like I said, I'd really kind of drifted from it. It was The Mind of Evil, watched on a rainy Easter Sunday with a bunch of Easter eggs stuck on my own. Watched it in an afternoon, and I ended up really enjoying it, and it kind of got me back into it again. And I started picking up the odd issue again. I didn't resubscribe. I wasn't getting every one, but I started getting the odd issue again around the 2001, 2002 period. The one I think that really got me back into it was like this little Tom special. It wasn't actually a special. It was a regular issue, but it was all kind of devoted to Tom, and they had each season being reviewed by different reviewers. And that kind of attracted my attention in the newsagent, and I kind of skipped through it. And I kind of skimmed through it just to see what they said about season 17. If it had been the usual at that practice, I'd have probably put it back and gone, oh, fuck off. But it was actually a very positive one. And I'm like, oh my god, they've actually got their heads out of their asses. That's nice. So I bought that issue, and that kind of got me back into it somewhat again. Didn't necessarily buy every issue, and I certainly didn't resubscribe, but I was kind of going back, much as I was getting back into the show. And then we had the announcement of the new series, and it was sometime around that 2004, I think, that I actually resubscribed again, because like I said, I've been getting back into it anyway for a few years. Now we were going to have a new series. It was like, okay, we're back. Yeah. And that lasted till about 2008, when I packed it up again, because, well, by that point, I was getting well and truly sick of New Who. 2008, that was Series 4. I did not like Series 4. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I don't care. I thought it was bloody awful. I was really getting fed up with New Who at that point, and Doctor Who magazine was practically just a propaganda outlet at that point. It's even more so nowadays, I understand. But I was like, yeah, I just can't be arsed with this anymore. I don't like it anymore. So I don't like New Who very much, so I'm not subscribing to this fucking thing. I did pick up those actual specials. Again, we're talking a little bit earlier on in the 2000s. They did those actual specials covering each Doctor, each of the first 8 Doctors. I did pick up then. I still have them. But yeah, 2008, I was like, eh. I guess the next kind of ones I picked up was around 2010ish, maybe that late 2000, late 2009, when they started kind of getting into the Smith era. Again, I never resubscribed, but I picked up the odd one because Series 5 kind of interested me again. I kind of got interested with the fact that we were having a new Doctor and we were having a new Smith. I mean, it's new Smith. We were having a new showrunner. Um, yeah, because I was fed up of Davis and Tennant. I was well ahead. I was well ahead of the curve on that point. um, but again, I was never buying it again. I think I drifted off again in 2011 at some point. As far as I'm aware, the only issue I bought in 2012 was the one with the Sophie interview, because that was a nice interview and a good issue. I picked that up. And as far as I'm aware, the only other issue I bought in the next 2 years was in 2014, and it was the results of the 50th anniversary poll, which was a good magazine. It was an interesting magazine, and that was it. That's the last issue of Doctor Who magazine I've ever bought. I kept flicking through it in the shops for the next few years, because I mean, again, if you as long-time viewers may recall, I initially gave up on New Who altogether towards the end of Capaldi's first season. I kind of relented in 2017, briefly. But honestly, the moment they announced Whittaker, not only was that me done with the show, I stopped looking at Doctor Who magazines. I never even looked at because you knew exactly the kind of propaganda you were going to get from it. Blah blah blah. All these same people who once poo-pooed the female Doctor were all going to be completely on board of it. It's almost like their livelihoods depended on it, and screw you if you didn't agree. And I was just like, yeah, no. To be honest, I don't even recall the last time I've seen Doctor Who magazine. Like I said, I used to look at it on the shelves. I stopped in 2017, but I've not even looked in the newsagents for a long time, because I moved in 2022. I moved in 2022 away from like the big shopping centre. We had a little one, which had a little newsagents. That didn't seem to stock it at all, or anything really. It didn't have very much at all for supposed newsagents. But the few times that I did go to the big shopping centre, I meant to look at a certain point just to see if they still had it, because I know a lot of people were saying that they're stopping stocking them. But I never did, and I'm nowhere near any kind of newsagent now. I don't know. So I haven't even seen the front cover of an issue in the shops for a really long time. And to be honest, much as with the show, I don't see me getting back into Doctor Who magazine anytime soon. I still have a lot. To be honest, when I moved last year, I threw away, gave away, every single issue post New Who. I basically just got rid of all of that, apart from like a couple ones, like the poll results ones and stuff like that. But the great majority, I gave them away because I have no interest. No interest. I don't keep New Who merch. I'm sorry. It's hard enough to justify keeping the first 10 seasons on DVD, when part of me wants to give them away as well. But I certainly don't keep merchandise associated with New Who at this point. I have all the originals. I have like the original run that I bought from 87 through to 98. I mean, I have a couple earlier ones that I got like second hand. And I have a couple of those from the early 2000s, before New Who was even a thing. That's kind of it. It's kind of a shame. I mean, I loved a Doctor Who magazine back in the day. It was really it was my first big, certainly was my first big fandom. Certainly it was the first fandom that, other people shared. um, but I haven't. What it's sad. It's sad what's happened to it, but then it's sad what's happened to the show as well. It's just so far removed from the thing that I liked and the thing that I was interested in that it's, again, not even looked at it in the shops for 8 years at this point. But it was good while it lasted, I suppose. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, despite this rather sad ending. I'll talk to you again soon. Comment.